I'm wrestling. Do not weep for me. Celebrate what I am. Celebrate what I have been. Celebrate what I represent. And celebrate the many ways I have impacted your life. I will survive this test as I have survived others. I am forever etched into the very fiber of all mankind. The world needs me. Time is on my side. History guarantees me. I am wrestling. Do not wait for me.
What's up, everybody? This is Ben Askren. This is the T-Row and Funky Show, and I'm solo this week. I actually have to go to Asia next week, so Tommy is doing his real job. So in my free time, I got Mr. Troy Steiner on the phone, so we're going to do a little interview with him. And this is going to be posted next week. For those of you who don't know, Troy was just hired as the head coach of the newly resurrected Fresno State program. So what's up, Troy? Where you at?
I'm actually down in Fresno. So I just had the press conference yesterday, and just kind of going through all the paperwork and all that fun stuff that you get to do when you start a new job.
Of course. So you guys had the press conference, and obviously the administration is pretty serious about making this program successful. I mean, I've heard that, and then I know you wouldn't have taken the job unless that was the case. So, are you feeling a good vibe from them? Are you excited? What are you feeling about the future here at Fresno State?
Yeah, no, I am really feeling good about it. You know, it's always comforting when the driving force behind the whole thing was the president of the university. You know, and he's the driving force behind bringing this back, and then he just said we're bringing this back, and we're gonna put the resources into it to give him a chance to win, and that's what the situation I was looking for.
Nice. Well, okay. Hey, I told you we were gonna take this way back, and so for those of our listeners who don't know, Troy and his brother Terry coached me when I was a high schooler. I would say for the majority of my career, they started an awesome club called Advance. And then they were also the Wisconsin State coaches. So I've known these guys for a while. And I just, when I got Troy on the phone, I said, hey, there's a bunch of questions. I realized I've never asked you, and I wanted to ask you. So, Troy, I think we're going to have fun with this. The first one is kind of funny. And you know how stuff gets changed over time. So I don't know how much of this is hyperbole and how much is true. But someone told me a story where, Roy, on your recruiting trip with your brother Terry to Iowa, that Royce Alger told you guys that they do two-person rotation on Aerodyne for 10 hours as a total joke, but you and your brother Terry actually did it. True, false, embellished? What do we got there?
Yeah, no, it's true. It wasn't Royce that said it. It was a couple other guys that were on the team at the time, and they said that they come in at night and they'll ride bike all night long, and as gullible as Terry and I were, this actually wasn't even on our recruiting trip. But we went down. We went there for a camp one summer, and so these guys were on the team, and they were saying that they ride bike all night, and so as gullible as we were, we went home and we're thinking, well, I guess we got to do it, So one night we decided we're going to get this Aerodyne bike and put it in front of the TV, and we traded off every 5 minutes, and we went for 6 hours.
Damn.
And my parents thought we were nuts, which I guess looking back at it, we probably were a little nuts. But
how far did you go?
Yeah,
how many miles?
So, and then the funny thing is about it was we got down to Iowa after we, decided to wrestle there, and we got down there. Well, we found out the two guys that told us that story they were probably the biggest slugs on the team. So it was kind of funny, but I guess for us it was still a thing that mentally it was a thing that gave us an edge. We knew no one else was doing that, or at least at our level at that time.
For sure.
Just gave us an edge.
Hey, you could see how Royce could get mixed up in that story, though, because Royce is always up to no good trying to play jokes on people.
Oh, yeah, he's a prankster. He's got definitely a lot of stories.
Yeah. So, and so the next question it's more of a current issue, but obviously history repeats itself, right? So we can always take it back. So the Ramos thing that just happened with Daniel Dennis, and when Tommy and I have discussed this many times, and I was fairly critical of Ramos for multiple reasons. But one of the biggest ones is that I don't think, with the international weights being so far apart, it's hard to find partners. So my thing is, you almost need someone else in your room that's on a high level, that's competing at your weight, if your goal is really to be the best in the world. And I know that you saw this over, probably a lot of weight classes. Well, you were there for the 92 cycle and 96 cycle in Iowa City, which is just packed with Iowa guys all up and down the lineup. So what's your take on this as someone you've seen it happen before? You were there when it happened. I don't know if it was the original time, but 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things that as a competitor, as an athlete, you just got to focus on and worry about yourself and need what you need to do. I really wish Ramos just wouldn't have gotten in front of the camera. Someone would have pulled him aside and said, "Not right now," because I think Ramos is a hell of a competitor, and I just think it was that just his emotions were so high from the situation. I wish he just wouldn't have got in front of the camera when he did, because it made him didn't make him look good, and it didn't make the Iowa program look good, and that's just how it is. And at that level, you're gonna have guys around, and you want to have guys around and to train like that. So I think that just the situation, it was unfortunate that he got in front of the mic or in front of the camera right after he came off the mat.
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember in what was it, 96? I think you wrestled the same weight as one of the Brands. Is that right or wrong? Am I off?
Yeah, Tom and I were at the same weight.
And then 2000, didn't you have McElravy at your weight? So you're against an Iowa guy.
Terry had McElravy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but with McElravy, we lived with McElravy. When he came in as a young guy, he lived with us. So,
yeah.
And it's just one of those things. You just gotta. You're not wishing any bad on anyone else, but you're just worrying about what you need to do, and you can't really focus on the competition too much.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely a unique situation, but I think with the prevalence of these RTCs popping up all over the country, and I'm sure you're going to want to do something like that at Fresno State, I think it's something that we're going to see more and more often. Obviously, the Ohio RTCs getting bigger and stronger, the Penn State RTCs getting bigger and stronger. So I think that's a problem, people wrestling each other, that is going to happen quite frequently, especially with the limited amount of weights. I mean, we got 6 weights now. Bender's obviously, I don't know if you saw our show, but Bender said that they're thinking about propping it up to 10 in non-Olympic years, which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But definitely something you're going to see going down the road if you're building a big, strong RTC is some guys are going to wrestle each other, and that's just, I think that's the end of the day.
If you just got to put it to them. If they meet, and that's in a situation like it was with Ramos and Dennis, that you're going to work with both guys as much, help them develop as much as they can, and get them to the highest level you can. And if they meet, they meet. That's the way it is. You don't. It's not like you're picking one over the other. You're just, it's just you wish them both the very best, and you try to help them out. And obviously one's going to win, one's going to lose, and you pick up and you go from there, and you help them out from there.
For sure. So kind of right along the same lines, not the exact story, but right along the same lines. And you already brought his name up. I already brought his name up. But I think one of the ultimate stories is selflessness, and I hope I'm getting this right. I hope I don't blow it. But I believe it's your senior year, and I think you're a defending NCAA champion. Dan Gable comes in and says the only way we're going to win the national title as a team this year is if Troy drops down to 134 and we insert true freshman Lincoln McElravy at 142, and then obviously your twin brother Terry is up at 150. And you make the decision for the team. And am I right on this one so far? Okay. So you were literally the defending NCAA champ at 142 pounds, and you make the selfless decision for the team to drop down to 134. I guess I didn't know, but you said you live with McElravy. So what all went into that decision? How easy was it? Was it something you thought about for days, weeks, or was it just like, yeah, no problem, coach, I got it?
Yeah, well, what happened was it actually started the summer before. We were doing camps in Iowa City, and we had a practice after one of the camp sessions, and then I came out of practice, and I walked outside. I was walking across to go over to the dorm to eat, and there was actually a guy in a wheelchair that I was kind of talking to, and as I was coming out of the building, and he said, "Well, how do you think the team's looking for next year?" And I said, "I think we're looking good. If we just got to keep developing and keep moving in the right direction here, and we should be fine." And he goes, "You guys aren't going to win it. You lost too much because we lost."
Who's this guy? Just some guy?
I don't know. So some guy. I don't even know. But he said, "You lost 16 years. There's no way you guys are going to do it." And I mean, at that point, I wanted to push him out in front of like a damn car. But I always remembered that, and it was always on the back of my mind. And as the season got going, we were struggling a bit, and after Christmas we had the national duels. Nebraska beat us. Penn State was looking very strong, and actually Zaleski came up to me and said, "What do you think about dropping down?"
So Jimmy, that's Jimmy, right? And he's the assistant coach at this point.
Yeah, Jim was the assistant at that time, and I said, "Well, I want to wrestle the All-Star meet at 142," and that was like February 1st.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to wrestle that at 42, but I'll try it. And so I went to the All-Star meet. It was on a Monday out in Lehigh, and I wrestled 142 with a 7-pound allowance, so I got to weigh 149.
Damn.
7-pound
allowance for the All-Star?
Yeah.
Wow.
At that time, they gave it. And then on that Friday, we had Northwestern at home. And so I came back on Tuesday, and I stepped on the scale. I weighed about 152.
Dang.
And it wasn't like I was carrying a lot of excess. I was pretty lean at the time, and so I dropped down to 42, or to 34, and I made weight Friday. But I said I wanted two guys weighing in at 142. I wanted McElravy to weigh in, and then we had another guy in the room, Jimmy McLaughlin. And I said I wanted both those guys to weigh in at 42 because if I came out the mat and I didn't feel right, and I didn't want Lincoln to step on the mat, because once Lincoln steps on the mat, the decision is made.
Yeah. That makes sense. Wow, that makes sense. Okay.
So I came off the mat, or I came to the edge of the mat. I was walking off, and I didn't feel great, but I knew it was the first time down, and crashing down so quickly that I knew I wasn't going to feel great. But I came out the mat, and Gable grabbed me and said, "Who do you want out there?" And I said, "If Lincoln wants to go, let him go."
Wow.
And so Lincoln ran around the mat, and the decision was done. Well, then what happened was Lincoln went out there and got tech-balled, actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
By who?
Lincoln I think it was Periano, if I remember right. And we went to dinner that night. It was Lincoln and my brother and I and Lincoln's dad. And Ken was not happy about it. He was very upset that he came out of red shirt, and we just sat there, and I just said, "Hey," I said, we can't look back right now. We got 6 weeks here to get ready for NCAAs, and I said we just got to get going and move forward. I mean, the decision's done.
Yeah.
So, and for the most part, it worked out. I mean, Lincoln won, Terry won, we won the team title. I lost, but I don't blame it on the weight cut. I really don't. I think it affected my mind more than anything. It should have been a time in my life where it should have been such a great time and fun to be there. But I think where the weight cut affected me was I just wanted the season to be over with.
Oh man.
So that's where it really affected me. I don't blame. I at that point I physically I was fine. I think I don't think it took much out of me, but I think mentally it really got to me.
So wait.
But yeah.
So let's go back. How does Lincoln McElroy? Because I never heard that part of the story. How does he get teched? Because he goes on to obviously win a national title. 6 weeks later,
Yeah.
was it the nerves? Was it the weight cut? Was it?
It was the nerves. It was his first time in Carver.
Yeah.
And I don't care your first time in Carver if you're from wrestling for Iowa or wrestling for the opposing team, or it doesn't really matter. It's still, you're just not ever, the nerves hit you, but after that he started adjusting, and they had matches for him out on the floor, and pumped noise into the arena to kind of try to assimilate the situation, and the rest is history. He came out and ended up, obviously turning it on and winning the title, and doing great things after that. So
Yeah.
for the most part, it all worked out, and if I was ever back in the same situation, I would probably I would do the same thing, because I always remembered that guy in the wheelchair coming out of practice the summer before, because as being one of the leaders on the team, I didn't want to go out not winning a Big Ten title for the team and not winning the national title.
Isn't it crazy how something little like that, just a random occurrence from a nobody, can make that big of a difference?
Yeah, and I wish I knew who the guy was, because I would, in some ways I'd like to slap him, and in some ways I'd like to thank him for giving me that type of motivation.
Yeah, maybe it was Gable was the master of mind games, Troy. Maybe it was a plant.
Yeah,
maybe Gable knew you needed to hear that, and he put that guy there that day.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, well, that's kind of my next question. It says, obviously there's been books written about Gable. There's been stuff talked about Gable, everywhere in wrestling forever. And I obviously I have my thoughts on why he was so successful, but you were so close to the situation for so many years. And obviously I know it's many things, but if there's one thing that you can pick about Dan Gable, what was it that made him so successful? Because he's had, even now 20 years later, there's no one who's came close to the amount of success that he's had.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing when I look back at my days at Iowa, I think he just created the right environment that was just is an environment where you had club guys around, you had guys training, those post grads training there, and at the time there wasn't a lot of that at any other place. That was one of the few places where that happened, and I think that was a huge thing. He created that type of environment, and then obviously the way he read his athletes and was able to push their buttons in different ways. I think that's what probably separated him from other coaches.
Definitely. So who coming off that question, who were some of the older guys at the Hawkeye Wrestling Club at that time, or maybe on the team? I don't know. That were your mentors, friends, whatever. The kind of guys you give some credit to for your success.
Well, when I first came into Iowa, guys that were around my weight that I worked with a lot were, Brad Penrith was there, Greg Randall, Barry Davis was there, Randy Lewis was still around.
Dang. Wait, Lewis was still competing that long, or was he just hanging out?
He competed in '80. He competed in '88.
Okay.
And we came in '89.
Yeah.
We came in the fall of '88. So he was still around the room wrestling and was very much involved. And then you had Royce was there, Rico Chiparelli was there. There was a lot of guys still around there training.
Yeah, that's a heck of a roster right there. Well, okay, so then and I'm fuzzy on this, but you can set me straight if I'm wrong. I believe then you go start your coaching career at the University of Wisconsin after you leave Iowa City. Is that true? Am I missing something there?
No, actually, I graduated from Iowa in '93.
Yep.
And I stayed there for 2 years, and then Terry stayed there for 1 year, and then Terry left in '94 to go out. He went out to Oregon State with Joe Wells, and the second year Terry was out there, it was the '95-'96 season. I went out. There was a volunteer position open, and I went out there to basically be with Terry to train for the '96 trials. And so at the staff we had out there was Joe Wells, Randy Couture, Terry, and myself.
Wow,
and,
nice.
And then Gutchess was there, and he was a senior that year, but he made the Olympic team that year. So we had us four were training out there, trying to make that Olympic team that year. And then so I stayed there for a year because I knew Les was graduating. I knew they were going to keep him around that program. So I knew I was just basically going out there for a year. And so after that, I went to the University of Minnesota for a year.
Wow, I missed 2 stops. I'm way off. And I didn't even realize you were Oregon State, and so maybe that's a precursor to you going there later. But wow, I was totally missing some years here.
Yeah, so I went in '96-'97 season. I was at Minnesota, and I spent a year there. I got my master's degree there, and trained there. And then there was my brother at the same time I went to Minnesota. He went to Wisconsin, and then after my first year at Minnesota, or my only year at Minnesota, there was a position opened up at Wisconsin with the state coaching position and the volunteer position, and I decided to take that because I decided to train until 2000, and I wanted to be again near Terry, and we decided to do it together, and so that's when I went to Wisconsin.
Oh, nice. Wow. So you guys kind of like went and found each other a few times. You separate,
yeah, we did.
Come back together again.
We just knew if we were going to train, and we were going to and compete at the, and try to make the world team or Olympic team, we wanted to have each other there to push each other and really, just keep each other up when things were down and give each other a kick in the butt when we needed it.
For sure.
We always had that going through high school and college, and why do we want to change now if we're looking to make it, make it at the highest level?
Yep, 100%. So that's where I meet you. That's where I come into the story. Obviously you were the Wisconsin State coach, and then it was you, not Terry, who started Advance. Or am I wrong on that also?
No, that's right.
Okay, yeah. So then I start training at Club Advance, which is still going in Wisconsin, being ran by Brad Owens. So I get to spend a couple years with you, get to know you guys, think you're fantastic, and then I'm off to college, obviously, and then you take off to Iowa as Jim Zaleski gets the head job. And so you spent, 6 years there? 7 years there? Back in Iowa?
No. I was in Wisconsin from '97 to '04.
Oh,
and I was only in Iowa for 2 seasons.
Oh, yeah, because one of the Brands went somewhere else. Is that correct?
Yeah, Tom went out to Virginia Tech, and that's when he went to Virginia Tech. That's when Jim called me and asked me if I wanted to come in there and be his head assistant.
Nice. And so you only spent 2 years at Iowa, and then obviously that happens with Jim, and you followed Jim. So you must have been pretty close with Jim. You follow him all the way out to Oregon State, which apparently you already had an assistant coaching job there, which I missed that part. And you know what? When I was thinking of this, I think that this is kind of telling is that when you and Jim went out to Oregon State, you kind of build the program from, not saying it was always nothing, because when you were out there in the mid-'90s, they had a really good program, but they were kind of down, they were kind of nowhere. And so you and Jim got this program to build essentially from nothing. on the West Coast, and that kind of is probably going to parallel the situation that you have going at Fresno State. So, obviously, do you think that prepared you for the challenge you're going to have now? Did you, obviously you enjoyed your years at Oregon State, but, what was your favorite part of being out there with Jim and all that stuff?
Yeah, no, I think it really prepared me. When Jim got the job at Oregon State and asked me to come with him, I knew the situation out there. I already had a pretty good grasp on a lot of the area coaches, and especially the coaches in the state of Oregon and Washington. I knew those guys pretty well, and I had kept in contact with those guys. So I knew we had a situation that I felt could be built back up, and so we decided to go out there, and we've had some pretty good years there, and I'm not saying we busted into the top, but we've been close, and
yeah, you guys been
a couple little situations, I think, and we close. It's a great program. They gave us great support there, the administration, and so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But then when I looked for this situation down here, or I looked at this situation here, that it was very tough to leave up there because of the support they had, and I'd spent the last 10 years of my life up there, which has been unbelievable for my family, and that allowed me to really grow and develop too as a coach. And it was very tough to leave, but when it came down to it, this situation here it was right for my family, number one, and I feel the same. I think there's even more, maybe a little more support from the area. It's unbelievable, overwhelming support that I've gotten in the last few days, and the administration, like I said before, we got the president as the driving force behind bringing this back. That's very comforting. You got the AD and associate AD that are very much behind it, and then you got the Zinkin family and some other donors out here that are gung ho, and so I feel a very similar situation that we had at Oregon State, maybe even a little better in some aspects. But it's starting everything from scratch again, and but that's what intrigued me about it too, is I get to put my hands on every aspect of this program, and I guess if I fail, I fail, but I'll pick myself up and learn from it and move forward again. But I think it's a very unique situation here.
For sure. So let me touch on one thing you said there. Is that at Oregon State you've had your really good years, and obviously you've had some down years. And Tommy and I kind of talked about this on the program with North Carolina State kind of coming out of nowhere and having a lot of success this year. And then I talked about my experience at Missouri about being a non-traditional powerhouse, coming to have success, and kind of the ups and downs, and how your Iowas and your Penn States and your Oklahoma, they're going to get the top recruits every year, and so it's hard for them to bounce down too far, right? It's hard for them to go to top 5 to 20th. But at Missouri, that was the kind of thing we experienced, and now obviously Brian Smith's been able to kind of continue some of that success. But in the earlier years, it was definitely a up and down. I remember one year where we finished second at national duels, and I think we were 17th at nationals or some crap like that.
Yeah.
So I gave my opinion about why it's really tough for the non-traditional powerhouse programs to have continued success over time, and then when you kind of get long term, then you can kind of have more of it. But initially, it's very difficult. And so, what are some of your reasons or thoughts on why it's so tough for those programs to have that kind of sustained success over a bunch of years?
Well, I think like here, the biggest thing that I'm glad I have 1 year to get this thing, the foundation set, because I think you have to have that foundation set so strong and every aspect in place with the RTC and all that. That if you don't have that, I think it's going to be easier to go up and down.
Yeah.
Or not stay up at a high level. But if you have all those aspects in place, and then you start getting the depth into the room, the depth and the competition in the room, then it's going to happen. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get the depth in the room, and
Definitely.
I think in those early years, that's where you struggle, because if you have one guy go down, you don't have someone that can jump in behind him and maybe perform at the same level.
Yeah.
And I think it's now you look at a program like Missouri, you have a little bit more depth where one guy goes down, it's not going to kill the program. Someone's going to jump in and at least be competitive. And maybe they won't be at the same level, but they're going to be very competitive and be able to compete with about anyone.
Yeah, definitely. And, you saw that, obviously, we saw that at a lot of programs last year, because some like Oklahoma State, where they got Crutchmer go down, and then, what's his name? He's from Washington. You know what I'm talking about. Chandler Rogers.
Yeah, Roger.
Hops in and has success. Obviously, Missouri had a couple of those weights where, where they redshirted their 57-pounder, who was a good wrestler, and a backup 41 comes up to 57 and wins the freaking MAC conference. So, when you're talking about depth, yeah, and it is taking years, because I remember, like you're talking about, in the early years of Missouri, when one guy would go down and then the backup would just get mauled. I remember one year we had a heavyweight situation where we just had a heavyweight who was getting drilled constantly. Definitely rough situation. Okay, so
and that's what I like about this situation here. Being in this valley that I'm in right now, the wrestling is very strong, and I feel I can have that depth pretty quick.
You read my mind, 'cause that was the exact question I was going to ask. So with the valley, the Fresno Valley, right? I said you put a fence around it, and it probably, if not the best, very, very close. I think you got the Chicago areas hot right now. Lehigh Valley is always around Pittsburgh, and you got a few other areas that are hotbeds of wrestling talent in America right now. But when you count the sheer amount of wrestlers and tough wrestlers that are coming out of the Fresno Valley, there's so many right now, but very few of them are staying at home, because obviously there's only 3 other Division I colleges in the state of California right now. There's so few of them staying at home, but I feel like whenever I meet California people, they love California, and there's a lot of pride in California. And so, if you can give them a really good, viable option where they're going to be successful and stay at home, I feel like you're going to have a lot of success. So, I think the answer is going to be yes, because you've kind of already hinted at it. But it is the main plan right away to freaking put a fence around the valley and say, you guys are coming to Fresno State and we're going to win here?
Yeah, it's the state. I want the state. I want the state to be here. But, that's the first thing I got to do is I got to I got to set the environment. I've got to create or make sure that they can see this place and say, I can go there and win. I have an opportunity to win. But I think if I put this thing together right, that I'll have that situation for them, and if they can stay close to their families, close to their support group, and stay at home, well, why wouldn't they? They just haven't had that. They haven't had that situation, so they have had to leave.
Yeah, definitely.
But if I can create that for them, why would you want to go into the Midwest? Why would you want to go to Minnesota or Chicago and be in 40 below weather when you can be out here and have a similar situation that you've had your whole life?
Sure.
And I think there's a lot in this valley. A lot of it's definitely agriculture, farming communities, very tight-knit families. So they're going to want to see their kids wrestle. They're not going to be able to travel a lot of times and go all over the place, but they can stay right here. They'll be able to watch them all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let me ask you.
Very unique.
Let me ask you one question about California, and I don't want to make you any enemies right away. So if you want to say I don't want to answer, you can say I don't want to answer. So the California State Tournament, this is going to be a little bit of editorial on my part. The California State Tournament has 800 wrestlers, right, or 800 something in one division. So you got one state champ out of 800, and I think they take a lot of pride in it. But from my stance, I think it's very negative to their college recruiting process because I was at Arizona State obviously for a little bit, and When you look at some of those other Western states, they got, say, 30 teams per division, right? So you got to be the best out of 30 kids to be a state championship.
Mm-hmm.
And then Missouri, I think, was in the 60 to 70 range. Wisconsin's a little over 100. But the way I feel about it, I was in Wyoming. They had 11 in one division. I mean, that's like a regional or something. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
But so in California, I feel like a lot of these kids are kind of getting buried, right? I mean, even if you're the 10th best, right, or the 12th best, that's like being a state champ in Missouri. And so they're getting recognized. And I mean, I know at Missouri, for example, Mark Ellis, national NCAA champion, was a one-time state placer and then won a state title his senior year. I mean, if he's in California, he doesn't win. He doesn't come close, and maybe he never gets discovered. Or Michael Chandler never won state. He's a state runner-up. And so, and that's 60 teams in one division. So is the one division state championship, 800 teams, is that negative to the college recruiting process, number one? And number two, how can you, as someone who's going to coach in California, kind of find the diamonds in the rough? Because they're out there. I mean, I remember coming to some teens at some camps in California and wrestling with some kids and being going, God dang, that kid is good. Like, what did he place at state? And they're like, oh, he didn't even go. And I'm like, what? He would have won Wisconsin, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. You can look at it as a negative or a positive any way you want. I think that for me as a coach here recruiting, and I've been in Oregon State recruiting down here for 10 years, you just got to have the contacts in the state and have the relationships with the coaches where you can go to certain coaches and get their honest opinion on someone, and then once you get a lead on someone or you see someone, then you got to take it from there. But I don't know. I like it. Because when I come down here to watch a state tournament, I've been down there about every year. You see matchups right away, and guys are used to battling to pull out wins. Where in some of the states, Oregon was one, Washington was one, where there's no competition for the kids, where they're teching and pinning everyone. Where that doesn't happen in the state of California. I mean, not too much. I mean, there's obviously some that do it, but they're used to battling. So when they get into the college level, there's going to be some battles, and they got to learn how to win some of those close matches, or at least fight through situations in matches that maybe it could open up, and maybe you do end up blowing the guy out. But there's always tough situations in matches until someone breaks down mentally or physically. And these guys most of these kids are used to having those battles mentally, at least dealing with it mentally. So I think it puts them at an advantage down the road.
Yeah. That's a good take on it. And the state tournament, it is in Fresno, right? So you say you've been there for 10 years. It's
in Bakersfield.
Oh, it's in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's only 100 miles.
Okay. Well, Fresno's got what's their big one then? The Doc Buchanan or something?
Yeah, the Doc B.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a big one we all watch. Well, cool, Troy. I appreciate you spending the time. I'm out of questions. Unless you got anything else for us, I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Are you ready for this fight coming up or what?
No, well, you know what? I had my fight, and so now I'm going to Asia for a media tour. So I gotta go. Okay. I gotta go walk around, kiss babies, smile for cameras, wave, that kind of thing. So you know what? It won't be bad. Not my favorite thing. You know me. I love to compete. So I actually got word on my next fight, but it's not quite public yet, so I can't tell anybody. But I'm excited. I'll be announcing it hopefully not too far in the future.
Good. So, no, I'm actually, I've thought of you a lot because I remember when you chose to go to Missouri, I always, I really respected you for that because you weren't going somewhere that already had the name, already had the program built, but you were looking for the challenge to make your mark and really help build the program. And I'm right now, that's the type of kid I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that's not afraid of that challenge.
Yeah.
And because some of them are going to want to go where it's already the way has been paved, and and the path has been already shown, and it's already out there for them. And I'm looking for the similar guy that isn't afraid of the challenge and
Definitely.
knows that they can get it done. And that's, but I've thought of you a lot, like how do I entice these guys and really show them that it can be done here. So,
You got to find some white kid with an afro walking around tie-dye.
Yeah.
No, usually that's a bad idea to sign a kid like that. Yeah, but when I was at Missouri, when I went to my recruiting trip, and this will be where you're at in a few years. Brian Smith had a vision of what his program was going to be, and he was putting it into place. And when I went to Missouri, obviously they had never had success yet, but I could tell the pieces were in place. And then obviously, even before I made my mark, that they were able to get a top 25 finish when I was redshirting, and I could just tell that the right kids were there. The ones that they might not have been that good, but they wanted to work hard. They were excited about the challenge. The coaches all actually thought they actually thought they could be good. They weren't saying, well, we're Missouri, we're never going to be good. The coaches legitimately, I bought in. They legitimately thought they could be good. So, I felt that vibe when I was going there. And then obviously, like you said, I look forward to the challenge of doing what all these people thought could be done to actually doing it. And so, and I'll tell you, that journey was fantastic. And I don't think I could have been happier if I would have chose anywhere else. I love the decision I made, and it really worked out well for me. So I think these first few years you're just gonna be looking for those tough, hardworking kids who want to be good, and then a few years down the road you're gonna be looking for those kids who see the vision that you have and want to make it come true.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. It's exciting,
Sure.
really exciting.
It's very exciting.
Well, all right, Troy, that was fun. Thanks for coming on with us, and we'll be following you in your journey at Fresno State, and hopefully when you start kicking some butt, we'll have you back on here, and we'll talk about how fun it's been.
Sounds good. I hope it's not too long.
Us too. All right, man. Have a great day.
All right.
See ya.
You are listening to the T-Row and Funky Show, brought to you by Defend Soap. Defend what you have built.